Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We are just recapping the lactose tolerance lab up to this point so far. So, if you guys remember all the way back to the beginning when we had the 2 cups of milk, one with lactase powder and one without lactase powder, we can remember that glucose was only present in the one with lactase powder. That's because lactase is an enzyme that breaks down lactose into glucose and galactose. So you can see we have the lactose here at the beginning, and then this lactase enzyme latches onto it and breaks it down into glucose and galactose. So people who are able to produce this enzyme lactase, they are lactose tolerant, meaning that their bodies can digest lactose. They can tolerate lactose. If they do not produce lactase, that makes them lactose intolerant. So past this first day, the rest of this lab has been about identifying what in someone's genetics causes them to either make lactase or not make lactase. So to discover that, the first thing we looked at was this passage 2, talking about the different portions of the LCT lactase gene. So we saw that there was the coding region, which is right here, and the control regions, which are right here and right here. The coding region is the part that's actually transcribed by mRNA. It holds the code for building lactase. So that's the section of the DNA that the mRNA goes to, transcribes its message, and brings it to the ribosome for building a protein. The rest of the gene is the control regions, and that is a switch. It switches the gene on or off. When these control regions can fully attach, it turns the gene on, and transcription occurs and it builds lactase protein. When they are not attached, it turns the gene off and transcription does not happen and lactase is not produced. So we were looking at the sequences in each individual's control region to discover why some people have control regions that can attach and why some people have control regions that cannot attach. So we saw that the original ancestral gene that causes people to not be able to produce lactase, it consists of CCC as this middle codon for control region 1. So when people have CCC, their control regions cannot attach. Their control region 1, which is what we're looking at here, has CCC. It cannot attach to control region 2. However, when people have TCC, like these individuals, that is a mutation and it allows them to be able to attach control region 1 with control region 2. So that allows them to be able to produce lactase. So when they have this mutation, TCC, their control regions can attach and they can produce lactase. One thing we notice is that individual 3 has 2 copies of this TCC, while individuals 2 and 4 only have 1 copy of it. When someone has 2 different alleles, that is called being heterozygous. Even though this individual 4 has 2 different alleles, they are still able to produce lactase, and that's how we know that this allele is dominant over the other allele, because it is the one that overpowers it, and its trait is the one that is expressed. The other example that we looked at in class and in the last video of dominant versus recessive is this example about eye color. These individuals with a big B and a little b are heterozygous because they have 2 different alleles. Even though they have a little b blue eye allele, their eyes end up being brown. That's because the brown eye allele is dominant over the blue eye allele. And so when somebody has both alleles, the brown eye allele overpowers the blue eye allele. That's the same thing that we were just talking about with the mutation in the other example. So key points here, lactase is a protein made by some people's body. It breaks down lactose, which is a sugar found in milk. Without being able to make lactase, humans cannot digest milk products. In order to produce lactase, the two control regions of the LCT gene need to be able to attach. In ancestral populations, this was not the genetics that humans had. At one point, a mutation occurred that allowed the control regions to attach. Once the control regions attach, it activates transcription of the LCT gene, which leads to the production of lactase. This mutation that allows them to attach is a dominant allele. We know this because when an individual is heterozygous, the individual expresses the mutation trait of producing lactase. You guys should definitely pause here and read this back over, make sure it makes sense to you, take some good notes on it, and make sure you ask us any questions in class on Thursday and Friday.